fans, thank you for coming back to another episode on the island. And you have just tuned in for the pregame prediction of the biggest game of the Chicago Bears season and potentially the decade, with us going up against the number one seed Green Bay Packers in Week 17 while we are playing for our playoff lives. And so when I say we're playing potentially the biggest game of the decade, I mean that, as many Bears fans know, the Bears have been stepped on, stepped over, kicked, beaten up, and just run amok, as Stephen A. Smith would say, by the Green Bay Packers over the past decade. I mean, whether you want to look at them going all the way back to the beginning of this previous decade, we lose to them in the NFC Championship off Jay Cutler's phantom leg injury, which I don't understand still what happened. You got Caleb Haney in there. You could go to, back in 2014 when they beat us, when we were trying to get into the playoffs with a blown coverage by Zach Bowman and Chris Conti to Randall Cobb for a touchdown. Or you can go back to 2016 when John Fox was there and we were playing for a playoff spot. And we were playing to knock them out of the playoff. And we actually were about to get a win. And what happens? Aaron Rodgers just chucks up one to Jordy Nelson, blown coverage, they kick a field goal and it's over. So, every time the Bears and Packers meet for something, big or with something on the line, it seems that the Chicago Bears have fell short over the past decade. Now, as a result of us continually losing to the same team, we've kind of become the little brother guys. I mean, there's no really other way to look at it. I mean, if you look at just say Michigan and Ohio State, it's not really too much of a rivalry when one team's always kicking the other team's ass. And as you saw in week 11, week 10, we got our ass kicked. But this opens the door to what you saw last night in the college football championship. Ohio State losing to Clemson last year, but it put a chip on their shoulder, and you could see it all game. Ohio State came out there with something to prove, and they did. They punched Clemson right in the mouth, and that's exactly what the Chicago Bears need to do in Week 17 to beat the number one seed Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm sure some of you watching this are probably like, well, yeah, obviously we need to be physical, but how do we establish that? And the first thing, there's going to be 4 things the Chicago Bears need to do to beat the Green Bay Packers this upcoming Sunday. And the first one is it's going to be our run game versus their run defense. And, as you saw last week when Green Bay played Tennessee, they shut down Derrick Henry. I mean, if you hold Derrick Henry under 100 yards on 20-plus carries and not having one run longer than 10 yards, you did your job. And the Packers' run defense was underestimated. It's only 14th in the league, averaging around 113 yards per game given up. But when you stop Derrick Henry, you put the league on notice. And so, will the Bears be able to run the ball against the Green Bay Packers? The one thing we do have going for us is that Tennessee is a very one-dimensional offense. They're not going to throw the ball all over you. They have 2 really good wide receivers. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill has a great rating, but it's kind of built off of, we all know it's built off Derrick Henry. And if you can stop Derrick Henry, you can stop the Tennessee Titans. And this kind of leads us into our second category of what may need to happen is if our run game is struggling, Mitchell Trubisky may need to outduel Aaron Rodgers. I mean, guys, as you've seen over the past couple weeks, something has started to click with our offense, averaging almost 35 points per game. And our defense has been lacking. I mean, you kind of look at the first half of that Jacksonville game, our defense didn't look amazing. And then Roquan got 2 interceptions, and then the game really turned. But before that, and against Minnesota and Houston at some points, the defense could look, or not against Houston, but against Detroit. It can look suspect, especially over the last quarter of the season. And Mitchell may need to pop off. I mean, there's no other way around it. He's been kind of carrying this team over the past couple games with the help of the defense, but our offense has really taken off. And that kind of also ties into our third aspect, which is our coaching really needs to be on point. I mean, Bill Lazor needs to have a good plan, and as well as Matt Nagy, and they both need to be able to adjust, but not adjust too much, okay? And this is what I mean by that. The last time the Bears played the Green Bay Packers, David Montgomery averaged 9.4 yards per carry with 103 yards. But he only did it on 11 carries. And yes, some of you can say, oh, he had the 157-yard run What about without that? Without that run, he still averaged almost 4.6 yards per carry. So Matt Nagy and Bill Lazor need to stay committed to the run game, okay? But when I say adjust, I mean, if our inside zone isn't working, don't be afraid to go outside zone, sweeps, counters, traps. We need to bring out all the stops against this run defense and really get them confused, which will open up Mitchell Trubisky's play action. It'll help our offensive line establish a tone, and that kind of leads us into our fourth and final thing that the Bears have to do, and this is the most important thing. Our defensive line and our offensive line have to take over the game. Okay, without that, we're going to have a very slim chance of winning. If that essentially means Mitchell Trubisky is going to have to outduel Aaron Rodgers, and that's not exactly something most Bears fans want. And most people who know football would not want that. For the chances for the Bears to win, that would not be the winning formula. But if you think about just the defensive side of the ball, Green Bay has run the ball effectively. They have two good running backs in Aaron Jones and Dylan, whatever. I can't remember how to say it, but we have to stop the run game. If we can stop the run game, we can make the Packers one-dimensional. And you may think, oh, well, why do we want to make the Packers one-dimensional? I mean, you don't want to put the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands, and you don't. But if we can stop Green Bay's running game, that'll take away the play-action game. It'll let our corners get the chance to, really identify that it's a pass and play the best coverage they can, while simultaneously letting our pass rushers get to the quarterback. I mean, if we're trying to play, if they're running the ball down our throat, our pass rushers aren't going to be getting off the line of scrimmage with their ears pinned back. So we need to get off the ball fast. We need to stop the run, and we need to get at Aaron Rodgers to help our young corners. Because as you know right now, our top three corners are Kyle Fuller, Vindor, and Duke Shelley. So, that's not the strongest secondary outside of Kyle Fuller. And we need help from our defensive line in this game. There's no way around it. Robert Quinn needs to show up. David Bakhtiari did unfortunately suffer an injury. Prayers up to him, sending positive energy his way. But we need to take advantage of that, full advantage. And as for the offensive side of the ball, we need to run the ball. Like, we need to punch them in the mouth and come out like we're a hungry dog trapped in a corner, and we need to come out swinging for the fences and push them back. Okay, that's literally, we have to move men who don't want to be moved. And if our offensive line can do that, we can if we can just enforce our will on them, the Bears will have a much greater chance of winning this game. And the Bears have some extra motivation. Like I said before, this franchise over the past decade has been no other words than dominated by the Green Bay Packers. No one gave them a chance. We lost 7 straight games, and now we're bouncing back. People are saying, oh, it's against bad teams. And it is against bad teams. But this is the chance for them to prove that we're the real deal, and we're coming into the playoff with a watch-out mentality, saying we're coming, and we're playing with house money. We're the 7th seed, 6th seed. Let's go. Let's fucking play some Chicago Bear football, some black and blue football, like we did back in the 2000s, like we did in the 80s and 90s. And, really, as in the history of this franchise, we need to come out and punch them right in the face and say, we have arrived. And so that brings me to my final score prediction, which it seems counterintuitive. I think, Aaron Rodgers is going to be Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be hard to stop him. And our offense is going to have to put up points. But I think our defense, if we can get a few stops, and our offense, they have to be humming. Our offense has to be on point. It's going to have to be some team football where sometimes the defense gives up a score, the offense comes right back. Sometimes the offense gets stuffed, the defense needs to pick it up. It's going to be one of those back and forth games, and I predict it'll be 31-34 by the Chicago Bears winning by 3 points in a tight game where there is a lot of offense and potentially some defensive turnovers. But, I think the Bears do win this game because they are playing for their playoff life. They're playing for their jobs. They're, kind of playing on the hot seat in terms of Nagy and Pace. Because if they lose to their rival again, there's a good chance they could get brought back, but it's not going to look good at management's eyes. And this will be get blown out by them one week and then lose to them vying for the playoff the next. So, I do think the Bears will win this game. keep your guys' faith up, guys. If the game is, the game's going to be close. It's going to be a hard-fought game. So just have faith and, believe that the Bears can win this game. And with that, I thank you guys for tuning in to another episode on the island. I really appreciate you guys just, clicking on the video, give it a chance. I would love if you could leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you agree or disagree on my analysis and why. Check out my Instagram. It's at _island34. That's _island34. Really appreciate if you hit that follow button. Check out some posts. I post on there regularly to let know people just updates about the Bears, and then if I have a new video up. But thank you guys for tuning in again. You all have a great weekend. Enjoy the game tomorrow, and just keep that faith and bear down, baby. Doses.
Please, allow me to show you something.